Welcome. My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, my two new friends, are back with me again to talk about their CD, Legally Married and the Sky Didn't Fall. And the music is beautiful. I met them at the Brewster's Ladies Library. They did a little I call it a CD party. I don't know what you call it. Actually, I didn't know what to expect when I went. I thought there could be 150 singers. I mean, that's how much I got out of the ad.
Really?
But I was so excited that I went because your music is very mushy and very romantic and it really touches all the hearts. So thank you for those gifts, because I've been using that music and singing to it and teaching it and all of that. Tell me, well, where the title came from. Drum roll.
Sure. John, why don't you tell her where the title came from?
I will, James. Thank you. Well, James and I were legally married in 2005 in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts.
The first state to make same-sex marriage possible.
The first.
The first.
Now, you see, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, yay for
there
Massachusetts.
There are, I think, 6 now. We may get to that. Yeah, the Supreme Court, Judicial Court of the Commonwealth, passed legislation in 2003 making it legal, and then there was a year waiting period.
Yeah.
And so people were, same-sex couples became able to be married in the spring of 2004.
Was there a rush?
There was a rush at midnight. In many towns in Cambridge, Massachusetts, there were hundreds of couples that first night at midnight.
That should have been shot from the sky.
Yeah.
And in Provincetown, there was quite a rush.
Was there?
Yeah.
Sure.
What a celebration.
Yes.
Where we live in Provincetown.
Yeah. So your music is beautiful. They're love songs. How did you compile it, or how did you put it together? Was it in celebration of your marriage?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the sky did not fall.
Absolutely.
And we're here today to talk about what our friends might not know about being legally married, and what rights you have and benefits you don't have, and because I didn't know any of that. You see, a lot of us just don't know a lot of that stuff. You're so immersed in it, probably. So we have to do primer talk today.
Sure.
Well, wait. Oh, take it, huh?
Oh, okay. Well, as John said, we were married in 2005, and so that summer, John and I began working on a show to do. We loved singing together, and we already had quite a number of songs that we just liked performing, either by ourselves or together.
Yeah.
So we took the list of songs that we loved that meant something to us. We both like singing songs that have a message.
Yeah.
Not just a song that's pretty or just a song that is funny, but a song that really changes people's hearts when they hear it.
Yeah.
So we compiled this list of songs, and John started putting together a book for a show. And we started performing it that summer in 2005. And initially the show was called Just Married, the musical. And we did that in Provincetown for 2 summers.
Little soft shoe in there too?
Well, we called it Just Married the Musical. In reality, it was a musical review, and it was a lot of the songs that are on our CD.
Change
and some
outfits
other songs
a lot?
as well. A little, not a lot. Minimal choreography, believe me.
Oh, okay.
Neither one of us is
you could have called on me.
Very big on dancing.
Could have called on me. I could have straightened it out.
If we'd known, we would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good at that.
So we started with the goal of educating people on the issue of same-sex marriage, and also on sharing our own love story, because here we had found each other. We had only known each other, only been in a relationship for 3 years before we got married.
Yeah.
And we wanted to share that with everybody that we knew, and we also wanted to share, educate people on the issue of same-sex marriage. Yeah. And especially coming from my past as a Southern Baptist, coming from John's past as an Episcopalian, just the state of the world, it was really an emerging issue back then.
Yeah.
Massachusetts being the first state where it was legal. So we wanted to educate people and also sing about our love for each other. Yeah. And that's how it started.
Were the Episcopals kinder to you than the Baptists were to you? I mean, I'm just curious about religions and their support and not support. I mean, I don't know where they fall. Are there categories?
Well, the Episcopal Church, I think, has made great strides in recent years, although when they elected Gene Robinson as a bishop, there was a great divide, and some congregations actually
folded?
Left.
Okay.
Just split, and there's been a big split in England over the same issue and so forth. But recently in Massachusetts, I understand that the Episcopal Church bishop has told his ministers that it's okay for them to now perform same-sex marriages.
Nice. All right.
So prior to that, it was just the UU churches, the Unitarian Universalists, which we are,
those UUs
allowed that to happen in church.
Anything goes.
Anything goes. And of course, one of the things that we think is a really important thing that people should think about is that marriage is really an institution that is controlled by the government. People celebrate these sometimes in churches, but this should be an issue, and that's one reason why we feel that we should have the right to be married in any state in the country, because it's really, marriage was always an arrangement for possessions. In fact, women were once considered their husband's property, although, the institution of marriage has never changed. So they say.
Thankfully,
but
that's
women,
not true.
Women were considered their husband's property.
And
so it was all about how do the possessions get transferred from one family to the other, and dowry and all of that. That's how the institution
money piece
became involved. So anyway, I got a little excited there, didn't I?
No, it's interesting that you bring that up. It's like woman is an appendage. I mean, way back, we walked either behind them or we stayed at home and had the babies, and we were a little bit.
It's so amazing that people use the Bible as the reason why same-sex couples should not be together or should not be married, when the Bible is filled with thousands of references about how you should love your neighbor as yourself, and maybe 2 references to it, which, I mean, when you're talking about the Bible, you're talking about the King James version of the Bible, which was translated.
The old world.
And King James was gay to begin with.
Right.
But, and there are no actual documents that were written during the time of Jesus about it.
No.
It was written a couple hundred years later and then translated. And,
The Course in Miracles has made 800 corrections to the Bible where they're trying to move it into the wrong direction. And just, as you say, God is love, it's innocence, it's just love your neighbor. It's just...
Right.
It's just the way it is.
According to the Bible, King Solomon had 500 wives. And slavery was accepted, and if a woman's husband died, she was forced to marry her brother-in-law. I mean... Anyway.
But even something so personal as being in love and getting married, you would think would be just your business, rather than having some sort of a governmental overview. I mean, why? As you say, is it the money piece? Is it the protecting one another? Or it's just, to me, it's like, why should it be their business?
Well, I think it was, but it began as a means of conveyance for the transfer of properties from one family into another.
Okay, so
but a lot of people are obviously very threatened by the idea of same-sex couples being able to be married.
I know.
A lot of people will say, well, it's fine to be in a relationship, and I think they should have rights, but just don't call it marriage. For some reason that's where they draw the line.
You'll tarnish ours.
Right.
We should mention that although we are married in the state of Massachusetts, we have none of the federal rights and privileges that straight people have.
No Social Security or
no survivors'
joint tax returns.
No,
none of that.
If we were not in if we were in a state that didn't have gay marriage or recognize our marriage, and one of us went into the hospital, the other quite possibly could be refused visitation.
Oh dear.
There are about 1,150 federal privileges and rights that we do not enjoy, even though we are married.
How are things moving? How are things moving along?
Thankfully, we like to think it's 2 steps forward and only 1 step back. But things are moving, and as I said, as I have said before, I think things are moving. It seems to be exponentially now. and it's wonderful that we're able to see these things in our
all
lifetimes.
these stories are surfacing.
But until 1996, when Bill Clinton signed the Defense of Marriage Act, if you were married in one state, you were married in another state. You would be married in Massachusetts, or you would be married in Michigan, but your marriage was recognized everywhere.
Yeah.
After the Defense of Marriage Act, one state doesn't have to recognize another state's marriage, and that happened really in preparation. They were afraid that same-sex marriage was going to be passed in some states, and that's what's happened. So we're really pushing for, and thankfully, the present administration is not behind defending the Defense of Marriage Act, and we're hopeful that it's going to be repealed. And when that happens, then that will hopefully open the way for us to have some federal rights as a married couple.
I mean, you've come such a long way from total closet to discussion. I mean, in your lifetime.
It's amazing.
It is. And you know what? It will get there. I mean, everything will.
It
has to, because it's the truth and it's what it is.
Right.
And that's not, nobody can manipulate that into being anything but what it is.
And you know, what we find is in doing our show, in the weddings that I perform, when people are exposed to what this is really about, that it's really about two people that are in love, then people's hearts and their minds are changed.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that we like to do this, is because, you know, people's minds aren't often changed by political arguments.
That's
it just
true.
Escalates and escalates, but people's minds don't get changed. But when they see the reality of what this is about, then their minds do get changed.
That's such a good point, because your program that I saw was just all about that. And I was in love with love when I walked out the door. It didn't matter what or who. I was just it was like, love is such a beautiful thing, and the way you express it to one another is catching. I mean, it just opens your heart, and it just makes you feel so good. And
it is amazing what has happened in our lifetimes. I mean, until the Stonewall rebellion, so-called rebellion, 1969. Even in the late 60s, and even after that, in places outside New York City, gay men congregating in a bar could be arrested at any moment, and they'd be arrested, and there'd be photographers there taking their pictures. They'd go into work the next day, and they'd be fired. This still, still happens.
Well, the race card is out there big time too. I mean, we can't deny that. I mean, there's an awful lot of work to be done here. But everything's exploding. It seems to me that everything's surfacing, and that we're getting to look at the ugliest things just so we can be aware. I think it's all good. This latest thing I was talking to you about, which I didn't understand, the chick thing.
Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
Chick-fil-A.
But it's an opportunity for folks to see how prejudiced people are, and really get to see it. I mean, I look at that as an opportunity, as ugly as it can be.
It's true. It is an opportunity for people to really have a real conversation.
And the polls are amazing. I mean, the Gallup poll of a couple months ago, the majority of Americans now favor same-sex marriages.
Which is so incredible. I mean, back in 2003, when we were up at the State House holding signs up, yes, please don't take away our right to be married. It was like we were the only, Massachusetts was the lone voice, and like John and I had only been together for 2 years back then, and then we heard on the news that the Supreme Court in Massachusetts had ruled that same-sex marriage was legal, and we were like, wow, we'd never even given it the thought that it was possible. And all of a sudden, wow, that's great. And then people want to take that right away, and all of a sudden, if you have a right and it's taken away, you're going to fight for it.
Well, there must be many watching this program who are frustrated and want to do more. Is there anything you can recommend folks do? Do they call their congressman? Do they sign petitions? What kind of action is out there?
Well, there's a wonderful national organization called Freedom to Marry.
Okay.
So if you go online to freedomtomarry.org, you'll find out about how various states are organized around the issue. You can make donations, which are
Yeah.
badly needed.
Yeah.
And you can see how in every state there are different situations. In the fall, there are going to be, I think in Washington State and in Maine, there are going to be public referendums on the ballot about whether this should be allowed or not. Now, you know,
Wow.
the vote, the rights of people never gone before public vote before. I'm not saying that very eloquently, but this is civil rights are not something that should be debated in the polling place.
Yeah. Well, once again, there'll be a lot of conversation about anything and everything that surfaces, because we, you know, aren't you amazed with the media, even looking at politics right now, nobody can say anything without the media picking up on it. I mean, all the slurs, all the things, the goofs. I mean, it is a funny country that way. There's nothing, nobody gets away with a thing.
No, that's true.
Nothing.
True.
And it amazes me that there's something good about that, even though, I mean, we see ridiculousness, but you know, you can't be careful enough. If you're going to be out there, you better watch it.
Yes.
But it's wonderful.
It's even been interesting for me as a person involved in this to see how my own views have changed. When we first got married, and I would refer to him as my husband, it would kind of catch in my throat. You know, my husband. But now it's just like I've gotten used to the notion that he's actually my husband.
Yes, and it's amazing in our lives as we move about in our lives, go to the doctor, whatever we do.
Yeah. No.
More and more, everybody that we meet just refers to us that way, and they don't even think a second time about it.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful to see
We have
that.
a wonderful little thing that we do in our introducing one of the songs, where we say, "Here we are, no longer just friends,
significant others,
life partners,
lovers,
we're husbands,
spouses,
next of kin."
That's lovely.
Yes, and that's one thing that someone said to us just after we got married. They said it's such an amazing thing that in you know, not being a commitment ceremony, but being a marriage, you actually go in the course of 15 minutes or 30 minutes, however long your ceremony is, you go from being really unrelated to each other to being next of kin.
Next of kin. Yeah.
And that's what marriage is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you love each other and you found each other, and that's so, I mean, you're very, very blessed. But it would be nice if we can just encourage folks to step up to the plate and vote and be political and do anything that they can and join demonstrations. And of course, you're living in the perfect place for where it's the easiest for you with P-Town and New York and all of that. But, you know, can you imagine just being anywhere else and just plopping down in with a parachute?
Right.
And how would you feel?
Well, we've traveled a few places with our show. We've done our show in Boise, Idaho.
Boise.
Yes. I mean, places that are not exactly as gay-friendly as Provincetown, Massachusetts. But I have to say that everywhere we've gone, of course, the people that are going to come see us are the people that are converts already. You know, you're not people that hate us are most likely not going to buy a ticket to come see our show. But we were really amazed at the support that we saw there.
Yeah.
We had sold out shows and people that were so excited and just really got it.
Well, there you
really
your little
understood.
caravan now has to go everywhere. You've got a lot of work to do.
We do. We have a lot
we
of work
know.
to do. Yeah.
Really, what a duo, though. You're powerful together.
Thank you. Well, we have to say that things have changed a lot since we started doing this 5 years ago.
Well,
7 years ago.
We're thinking of changing. Our next album will be Still Married.
And the sky didn't fall.
And the sky didn't fall.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, your songs are beautiful. Your voices are beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You really are both
Thank you.
very fine singers and musicians. And you have a chorus that you conduct?
Yes, I conduct the Outer Cape Chorale,
Yes.
which is a community chorus of about 140 people in Provincetown.
I bet it's fun.
It's a great
It's a
deal
great
of fun.
time.
We've made such wonderful friends. And when we got married, we didn't want to leave anybody out. So we decided that we would invite the whole town. So we took an ad out in the local newspaper.
didn't.
Yes, we
We
did.
did. Oh, yes, we did.
And then when we wanted to have the reception, we didn't want anybody who came to the wedding not to be able to go to the reception. So the members of our chorale provided the reception for us. They did a potluck
Perfect.
wedding reception in the VFW hall.
Perfect.
And 300 people came. It was a wonderful.
And then your smaller chorus is called what?
Well, we'll have a chamber singers group.
I came to
within.
your last one in Harwichport. I was way in the
saw you
back.
there.
Yes, and I had done a gig that morning, so I was half asleep. I stayed as long as I could stay, but it was wonderful.
Well,
what
thank you.
talent you've got in that chorus. Really fine
There's
talent.
some wonderful singers in Cape Cod.
Yeah. So you're busy a lot.
We are.
We are.
We stay pretty busy.
Yeah, just
do.
the dogs alone.
Oh, listen. I was thinking of the one that curled up in my lap the other day, and I don't know why I didn't steal it. Whoever it was.
Zephyr.
Zephyr. Oh, I've
yes.
never seen anything so adorable in my life. Just talk about make yourself at home.
Yeah.
How incredible. You have lots of pets.
We have 2 dogs and a cat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a wonderful life, living out at the end of the Cape is such a beautiful place.
Yeah. And you go to Hawaii, you said, once a year?
We do.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
that's-
John does a singing workshop in Hawaii every year when we're always looking for people to join us.
And that's the one you did up in Vermont that I saw. The
We
same
do
idea
singing workshops around.
to get people
yeah.
to really experiment with they can sing.
Yes.
By gum.
We believe
Right.
everyone can sing.
I believe it too.
Yeah.
I do. Well, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, time.
Oh, we could talk about singing.
Let's talk about singing. How healing it is to sing.
Oh.
How
it certainly is.
it
People walk into rehearsal and they've had a rough day, and you can see the stress on their faces. And we get singing, and they're sitting amongst a group of like-minded people.
Yeah.
And in 5 minutes, they've forgotten all of their troubles. And
It lifts you just out of this world. There really is nothing like it.
It's
As a
true.
dancer, I was into the music was my motivator. I was just an instrument for the music. The music just takes you over, and life is you're just walking on water.
Yeah.
There's nothing
true.
like it.
There's nothing
Yeah.
like it.
And that's why those workshops must be so, you must believe. Let's go, everybody. Come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's amazing how many people are given the message as children, usually in elementary school, by their music teacher, that they can't sing, or that they should be quiet, they should not sing.
Yeah.
And it becomes more, the message becomes, don't be.
Yeah.
Don't really be yourself fully. You're not good enough.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of tapes that are running,
Yeah.
negative tapes. That
And
are
you have a
running.
song that we're going to play right now. And what was the name of the one that we're going to hear?
Oh, it's a wonderful lullaby
Yes.
written by
And the name?
Fred Small. It's called Everything Possible.
Okay, my friends, you are about to hear Everything is Possible from James and John. Thank you.
We have cleared off the table,
the leftovers saved,
washed the dishes,
and put them away.
I have told you a story and tucked you in tight.
At the end of your knockabout day,
As the moon sets its sail to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. You can be anybody that you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself, you can gather friends around, you can choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're gone. Some girls grow up strong and bold.
Some boys are quiet and kind.
Some race on ahead, some follow behind. Some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, and some men